Hello everybody, my name is the Weather Geek, and today I'm back with another video. I'm going to be talking about this subtropical system that could develop. It is May 19th today, so if this does develop, it would be before this season, and this would be the 7th consecutive year that we see a subtropical storm before this season. Okay, so um, the message here given from the NHC, a non-tropical low-pressure system is forecast to develop a few hundred miles northeast of Bermuda by tomorrow afternoon and produce gale force winds. The low is then forecast to move west-southwestward over warmer waters, and we'll show that graphic in a little, on Friday, and could become a short-lived tropical cyclone. So it could become one to the northeast of Bermuda. So if we look at the sea surface temperatures for that area that we're talking, really they're very warm right now, way above average. If we look, this is generally the area right in here, so that's where it's going to be developing. And it's very above average, as you can see there, very warm. Taking a look at the GFS model, you can see here's the system that we're going to be watching, kind of just a weak area of low pressure right now. This area that we're actually watching came from a stalled front under Cuba, and it lifted to the north, and that's what we're seeing kind of interact with a system from the Canadian Maritimes that came south. They interact with each other, and you can see we start to close off a little circulation there, and then we finally get a closed low, and that would be tropical there, subtropical in nature near Bermuda, eastward of Bermuda. Now, as you go forward, you can see it gets a little stronger, and then it kind of just lifts to the north, and there you go. So yeah, it maintains tropical strength, I would say, probably about 3 to 4 days. It maintains tropical strength, so that's something interesting, right? Now we can look at the European. So the European shows the same. It does show a tropical system developing, subtropical, in the next 2 days, 48 hours from now. But then as we go forward, it kind of weakens to the point where it's now just a broad low. So it's only a tropical storm really for about a day or less. So the GFS survives this subtropical storm a lot longer than the European. And looking at the Canadian model, the Canadian is very similar to the European. Again, it tries to develop this within 2 days, and then as we go forward, it kind of just, again, not as organized. It starts to weaken by here, and then this would just be a broad low by this time. Just comparing the previous run to this run, you can see there's a big difference. You can see that it's much more organized. So the models are in better agreement, probably will develop into a subtropical storm before the season, which would be, again, the 7th consecutive year that we had a May system. So that's pretty remarkable. Now looking at the European ensembles, this is from weather.us, and you can see there's a lot more ensembles than yesterday's video. So if we look and just compare, I was looking at the 00Z, and the 00Z tends to have more ensembles, more members. The 6Z actually has less members, right? So the fact that the 6Z is showing more than the 00Z just tells you that the ensembles have gone up. And if we look at the 12Z, this just came in, very good agreement, and some of these are actually quite strong, getting down, some of them are light, so some would, like that's 62 miles per hour right there. This thing could be a 60 mile per hour subtropical storm east of Bermuda. And yeah, I mean, again, the models are getting in better agreement, so the chances continue to go up. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out, because my channel is more focused on the long-range forecasting methods, this is the Burling Strait cycle. So this is something that meteorologists use to track the weather in a specific location months in advance. And I was looking at this, and what's very interesting, I just noticed this. So right now we are looking in the past. So but this was issued April 10th, so you can see it's about 20 days into the future. So if we go forward here, you can see what I'm talking about. So as we go forward, this is obviously in the past, so we're gonna have to head to the present right now, and that's what I'm gonna do. And you can see this is what we're starting to see. So we're starting to see right, wait for it. Right there. So this is the 23rd. We're starting to see lower pressure. And that lower pressure, that 1014 millibar low pressure system, that low pressure system came from the Canadian Maritimes. It came southward. And then this is the area that we're watching on the BSR. And again, you have to keep in mind, this was initialized or issued May 3rd. So this would have been, we would have had a 20-day advance time to know that this thing actually would occur. Now, obviously, as we go further in the run, it does develop and close off, but it's more in the northeastern Atlantic than compared towards Bermuda. So you can see it's not, the location is wrong, generally speaking, but the fact that it was able to nail that right around the same time frame and day, because it's going to be developing, if it does develop, it's going to develop right around the 23rd to the 25th, right? So the fact that it was able to show a low pressure system just in the subtropics, but a developed one, that's pretty remarkable, and that's why I use these tools, because I learn a lot from them. And I mean, we can learn 20 days in advance during the hurricane season where a storm can make landfall. Okay, now the location on this model, or on this tool that I'm using, is not always going to be correct, okay? But it gives you an idea something is going to be in that area, most likely 20 days from 20 days from now. Oh yeah, and by the way, we can look at the upper levels of the atmosphere, and we could just head to that time period. And we also see during the upper levels, right around the 23rd, we start to see a low pressure there, right there. That's our system right there. So again, it's showing that low pressure system there right around from the 23rd to the 25th when it could develop. And this one's more towards Bermuda, the upper level low. So again, it just gives you hints. 20 days. This was initialized May 3rd, so that would be 20 days in advance. That's crazy to me. So we would have knew this. If I looked at this, I would have known 20 days in advance something is going to develop in the subtropics, May 23rd. So there you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look back, I'm going to look into the future for June, right? Because we can look, this method uses 20 days in advance. So we're going to click on June 2021. Okay, and now you can see we are now in the future, right? Now we're on June 1st. So just watch and wait near the end here. As we head and go through this, there's that system coming from Texas. See that system right there? This could be a sign. Not saying that it will happen. It's just that this tells us that we could see a system near Florida. There's those two low pressure systems. And if we look at the upper levels of the atmosphere, we can see that same low pressure system travel through the Gulf. There it is right there. And you can see it hits South Florida right there. There you go. And again, that's what we look at. We look at these low pressure systems, okay, and this would be, again, a pretty long time in advance. So you would have a pretty good amount of time in advance to know if this did come true or if this was accurate. Now, it's always going to be, for the most part, it's always going to be accurate. It's just that sometimes there'll be a tropical system there and other times there won't. For example, this is most likely going to be in that area, okay? But you don't necessarily have to have a tropical storm. You could just have rain. You could simply just have a nasty, crammy, rainy day, and that would be it. That means that it was accurate, right? Because it showed that lower pressure, it showed that rain, right? So this doesn't mean that we're going to have a tropical system. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just letting you guys know that we could potentially see something around the early to mid-June time period near Florida, near the west coast of Florida. So we're going to watch that. Now here's another map that we look at. This is the velocity potential on the CFS on tropical tidbits, and this is just for weekly. We're going to look in time now for during early to mid-June, and you can see this is May 26th to June 2nd. And then look what happens as we get into June 2nd to the 9th. So this is early June, upward motion dominating the Central America there. So that would go into the Western Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, right? So, and then as we go forward, it's still favoring that area kind of around into mid-June, more in the Eastern Pacific, but it would still favor the Atlantic or Caribbean in this model. And then we can also go to the precipitation here. So this is the precipitation, and then this is again from June 2nd to the 9th, so early June. And as you can see on this model here, there is a lot of precipitation down there. And again, during early June, we typically see most of our storms develop in that area. So here we go. Here's the map that I was trying to find. This map shows you the origins for June 1st to the 10th, so early June, and you can see a lot of the storms develop down kind of in the Gulf of Honduras down here, in the northern Caribbean area, and they move north towards Florida, towards the west coast. So we're going to be watching that. And this is just my last frame, and I'm going to show you today our last model. So this is the ensemble for the MJO on the European. And you can see, generally speaking, we're heading in, or at least we're going to head into phases. It looks like 8, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to be heading into those phases. this is May 31st, the end of this date here. So by May 31st, we could be heading into phases 8, which favors the Atlantic, and then 1, and then it could rotate back around and head towards 1, 2, and 3 towards mid-June. We just need to watch early to mid-June, particularly in the west coast of Florida. That's the area that I'm focused on right now because of the BSR. So that's the area that I'm focused on right now. So yeah, but that's about it for this video, guys. So again, we will likely see this named storm, or when it does develop into a named storm. I think it's going to develop into a named storm. I'm pretty certain about that. You know, my percentages would probably be about a 70% chance right now. I think I'm pretty confident that this is going to develop. But we'll just have to wait and see, right? So, but I'm pretty confident. So I think we will see our 7th consecutive year. That is crazy, but that is a record that probably won't be beaten in a long time, right? But yeah, that's the 7th consecutive year now, if this does develop, that we would have a named storm. So before June 1st. So that's pretty crazy. But thank you all for watching. Again, we're going to be watching early to mid-June, particularly in the west coast of Florida. I'm going to be having my 2021 hurricane season forecast video out as soon as possible. And yeah, so have a good day and always be weather aware.